Hey everybody, welcome to the Firework Awards live reaction show. I hope you're all well this Sunday evening. If you're watching on the replay and you've not seen the awards yet, I don't want to spoil anything for you. You'll find a link to the Firework Awards in the description of this video, so do go check that out, and then why not come back here and we can watch the replay of the live reaction show. So I want to hear your thoughts on the winners. We're going to talk about the winners, we're going to talk about some of the runners-up, some past winners, things like that. So that's what this stream's all about. So welcome in everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name's Mark. I'm in the UK. I do fireworks, I do them professionally, I do them as a hobby, and I've just hosted the Firework Awards, which are brought to you in association with the UK Firework Alliance and the UK Firework Review, and I've been very privileged to host those now for the past 3, 4, 5 years, I think. So I'm welcoming everybody, 12 of you here at the moment. So do post your comments in the chat. We'll put some of them up on the screen. I want to hear your thoughts on the winners and we'll go through those as well. Let's say hello to a few people first in the chat. I think Brad was first in the chat. Hello, Brad. Welcome in, saying 1 month from now, it's bonfire night. It certainly is. Craig says hello. Craig was in the chat. Kamara Brocade, Chris is here. Hello, Chris. Hope you feel better soon. Chris is currently suffering from COVID, so I hope you get better soon, Chris. Nice to have you here, though. Mark says, Mark Guitar, great job. Loads of work. That is much appreciated. Thanks, Mark. Yes, it does take several weeks to put that together and edit that and render that, but I'm glad you enjoyed that, so thank you very much. And Fireworks UK is here as well, so saying hello, so welcome in everybody. Ollie Clack is here. Ollie says, hi Mark, thanks for all your hard work. Thank you very much. But it isn't about me tonight, it's about the fireworks. I'm surrounded by a few of the winners and contenders from this year, not all of them, obviously I couldn't fit them all on this desk, but I've got a few little here, just a little selection, and we'll talk about some of those in a little bit. Heather Springer is here, says good afternoon. Heather, of course, is watching in the States. So for those of you in the UK thinking, no, it's evening now, for some people watching this, it's still the afternoon. So welcome in wherever you are in the world watching this live stream. It's currently Sunday evening. It's 8:35 p.m. if you're watching this live. Obviously, if you're watching on the replay, it's not. Adam Myers is here, says, hi, Mark, I always love your live streams. I'll be here till the end. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that, and you're welcome in. Fireworks UK says, Mark, are you surprised about any of the winners? Well, we'll talk about some of the winners in a minute and let's go through them. Let me just move this piece of paper. If you watched my last live stream, I forgot to turn my microphone on. So I actually left myself a little card that said, Mike, here to remind me to turn the microphone on, which I did. So you can all hear me, which is great. Craig says, was very good, well-deserved winners. Yes, there were some good winners in there, weren't there? So let's have a little look. Let's go through all the categories in turn. The first one we'll talk about is the small cake category. So let me know your comments on the small cake category. Let me put up a little description of what that was about, the criteria for that. Let's press this button and then press this button. There we go. So best small cake criteria. So for a firework to be nominated and shortlisted in this category, it had to be a category F2 retail barrage that has a maximum of 25 individual tubes. Now, if you don't know what F2 is, there's different categories of fireworks here in the UK. Category F1, F2, F3 and F4 are the primary ones. F1 are things like party poppers and indoor sparklers. F2 are traditionally garden fireworks. They're smaller fireworks. They tend to need an 8 metre or a 15 metre safety distance. Category F3 are larger display fireworks where you need 25 minimum metre distance from your spectators, and category F4 are professional ones that are only available for professionals to use. So the best small cake criteria for this category was any category F2 retail barrage that has a maximum of 25 individual tubes. Let's catch up on a little bit of chat before we go any further. Heather says, I guess good evening to you too. Yes, thanks Heather. Stephen is here. Stephen says, thanks for the stream. Thought Vivid would have been best overall firework company. We'll come on to that in a little while. Mark Guitar says, Mike, who's Mike? Did I call you Mike? If I did, I apologise. It's Mark, of course. Mark Guitar is here. So yeah, that was those were the criteria for the best small cake category. Let's have a look at the contenders this year. Here are the contenders. Brothers Pyrotechnics Angel Dust XL. I actually have that one here. We probably need to switch back to this camera to be able to see that. There we go. It's here. In fact, actually, let's be cool. Let's switch to this camera. Oh, doesn't quite pick it up. We're multi-camera tonight as well, folks. So hello everybody watching on that camera, and hello over onto that camera. So Angel Dust XL. It's kind of a newer version. Angel Dust is a small cake that's been around for a number of years by Brothers. It's a mine cake, so it lifts lots of mine effects up. And last year they brought out two varieties of that, Angel Dust XL and Angel Dust Delight. So Angel Dust XL is very similar. It does the same kind of mine effects, but then it's got some golden horsetails in the sky. And Angel Dust Delight is similar, but it's fanned. So 3 different versions. And Angel Dust XL was shortlisted this year in the awards, along with Evolution Fireworks, or Evo Pyrotechnics as they've been rebranded. Tranquil, I do actually have Tranquil here. There's Tranquil. This is with the old branding on. It's since been, I say, Evolution Fireworks have now been rebranded to Evo Pyrotechnics. The effects, the products are still the same, but they've got new wrappers on. So Evo's Tranquil, I really like this cake. This is a lovely low noise cake. Sends out some nice comments. So that was shortlisted as well. Let's catch up on a little bit of chat at this stage. Oh, Mike, who's Mike? Yes, that was, yes, Mike. I'm with you now, Mark. Thanks for that. Fireworks UK says, I really like classic mushroom. Yes, that's the last one on this list, this side. Celtic Moves Like Jagger is a lovely cake from Celtic. That came out a year or 2 back, and that's got some nice darting effects in. I was the first in the UK to fire that and film that and get some footage out of that. Really nice little cake. Classic Mushroom, I've never actually fired that myself, but from the video, yeah, it does look good. And Fireworks UK says, I really like Classic Mushroom. Kamaro Brocade says, Angel Dust was my favourite. Stunning gold horsetails and mines, and so cheap too. Yep, XL he means. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, watch out everyone. The multi-camera setup Mark's gone professional, says Ollie Clack. And Brad says, I'm sure I voted for Classics Mushroom. The salutes in it completed it for me personally. I'm trying to get my hands on it, Chris. It looks amazing. Value and great effect. So that's talking about Angel Dust. I tell you what we can do. We can actually, if I press a few more buttons over here, let's press that one and press this one. We can actually look right now at, let's have a look at Angel Dust, because people talk about that. This is Angel Dust XL. Let's see if this works. So there's Angel Dust. So the lower effects are similar to what was in the original Angel Dust, and the XL has got those golden horsetail breaks above it. So you get the idea with that. And also people talk about mushroom. Let's have a look at, this is Classics Mushroom. So I've not seen this personally, but it looks really nice. Some vivid colours in there from the footage, some nice breaks, and some nice sound in that as well. Chris is saying, Craig, you won't be disappointed. Stunning cake. Yes, that's talking about Angel Dust XL. So yeah, those are a couple of the contenders in the awards for Best Small Cake this year. And if you watched the awards, you'll know who the winner is. If you didn't and you don't want to know, to mute your volume now. But if not, let's show you a little breakdown of the voting for the Best Small Cake. So this is how the vote share was split. So Celtic Moves Like Jagger won with 35.1% share of the votes. And the runner-up was Quantum Golden Waterfall, currently, well, formerly called Night Tales by Absolute Fireworks. Absolute Fireworks have kind of come under an umbrella company called Quantum Fireworks. So Absolute Fireworks Night Tales and Quantum's Fireworks Golden Waterfall are the exact same product. So that came second with 19.6% share of the vote. And then Classic Mushroom came third with 17.5% share. Brothers Angel Dust XL, 16.5%. And finally, Evolution's Tranquil. So those were the breakdown of the results for the Best Small Cake. Fireworks UK says, I'm going to have to go. We'll catch on the replay. No problem, Fireworks UK. Thanks for being here and enjoy the replay. Craig says less than £15 as well in a lot of places. Yes, that's Angel Dust XL. Really good value cake. And a lot of these small cakes are really good value because, again, they are only small. They only have a small number of shots in them. So you can get some good prices on a lot of those. So do keep your eye out for those. All of those in that category, you know, they all look, I've witnessed them all. I've not seen, apart from Classic Mushroom, but they all look really good cakes. So I can highly recommend all of those based on what I've seen myself and the footage of Mushroom. So let's have a look at some of the past winners of this category as well. So Celtic obviously won this year with moves like Jagger. Celtic won last year in 2024 with Fluffy, which is a lovely low noise cake, really nice. It's an upgraded version of Fluff, which was an earlier low noise cake, and they've kind of improved that for Fluffy. That won last year. They also won in 2023 with Ding Dong / Dong Ding. Two cakes, very similar. One's called Ding Dong, one's called Dong Ding. Yeah, it gets confusing in firework names. It really does. They also won in 2022 for the best small cake with Happy Shepherd. And then in 2021, Zeus Fireworks won with Crown 500. And Mark says, I fired a few Night Tails before the name change, an audience favourite. Yes, I like Night Tails. It is a really good one. Audiences do like that. I say if you can't get your hands on Night Tails anymore, it has since been rebranded to Golden Waterfall by Quantum Fireworks, but it is the same product. I don't believe they've changed it. It's just a new labelling and new wrapper. Brad says, I think Celtic are going to dominate for the next few years. They're incredibly good. Yeah, Celtic have really upped their game. And you'll see that as we go through some of the past winners and the past runners-up, you'll see that Celtic are starting to dominate. They weren't a few years ago. They are now starting to kind of take a runner-up and best in a lot of categories, and I think they've upped their game. Now, Celtic products have always been good. They've been consistent, they've been professional, they've been reliable. But I think with the introduction of other brands, I'm thinking of like Vivid and Funky, brands like that have really kind of upped the quality of fireworks in terms of the colours and the effects. Celtic have had to sort of really up their game, I think, in the last couple of years. So, and they have done, to their credit, they have really up their game, and so that's why we're seeing them winning quite a lot of these awards now and coming runners up in a number of them as well. The Celtic firework naming process looks like it was a great evening down the pub, says Mark Guitar. Yes, their latest one of their latest ones is called Golden Shower, and we'll just leave that at that because this is a family-friendly stream. But yes, their names, they're naming. Well, there are quite a few products from different brands where the names are quite fun. I remember Frogs in a Blender by Jonathan's Fireworks was an unusual name one. I'm sure if you've got some unusual name fireworks you can think of, post them in the chat. We'll read them out as long as they're family friendly. But yeah, I would love to name fireworks. I think it's a real skill, and I think it's quite difficult actually to come up with names of fireworks, new names of fireworks that nobody's actually ever thought of before, because you'll get quite a few, and you might see these later on as we go through some of these. Golden Glory, Golden Waterfall, things like that. There's lots of different brands that have that same name for firework, but it's a completely different firework. So coming up with a unique name for a brand new firework is certainly a challenge. And Celtic do have quite a big repertoire of names. So yeah, it's a challenge for sure. So those are the best small cake winners. Let's have a quick look at the best small cake runners-up from the last few years. So this year, Quantum Fireworks with Golden Waterfall, or Absolute with Night Tails, same firework. 2024, Yorgi with Eden, joint runners-up with Celtic's Dong Ding. And in 2023, it was Celtic again with Midas Touch, joint runners-up with Vivid's Screaming Banshee, which is actually quite a large cake. If I just cut back to this camera, this is Screaming Demons here, this one here. Screaming Banshee is the same size, and it looks quite a big cake. Is it classed as a small cake? Well, if we go back to the actual criteria of what classes as a small cake, is any category F2 retail barrage that has a maximum of 25 individual tubes. And Screaming Banshee and Screaming Demons are both category F2 and both have 25 shots. So technically, as far as the awards go, they would class as small cakes rather than medium or large cakes. So that's why it's interesting to look at the criteria, just so we know what things fit in what categories and why they're in those categories, as opposed to not being included in other categories. So that was best small cake. Let's have a look at best medium cake. Let's look at the criteria for best medium cake first. So best medium cake, any retail, that's F2 or F3 barrage that has a minimum of 25 shots and a maximum of 50 shots. So that was the criteria for nominations in the best medium category. Let's take a look at the nominations this year, the contenders. These are, of course, the shortlisted contenders. More were nominated, and then they get whittled down to the top 5 or 6 with the most votes, and they get put out to the vote. So the 2025 contenders for the best medium cake: Prime Pyrotechnics Skybreaker, really nice cake. I used that only a week or two ago in a daytime gender reveal display in my back garden. That's really loud. Skybreaker is a nice cake. If you want a noise cake, that's one to go for sure. Funky Funk and Vile Scala. I haven't fired it myself, but I know that's very highly rated. And Celtic Butterfly Bugs, nice, lovely fanned low noise cake. Really nice effects in that. Vivid Freak and Celtic's Golden Glory. So that was quite nice in there. Quite a nice variety of different ones from different brands. Yeah, Celtic had 2 in there, but we also had things from Primed and Funky and Vivid. Vince is glad to see Funk and Vile Scala at #1 after I fired it. Went out and got a couple of cases. It's immense. Loving the new setup over the last few weeks. I think you mean my streaming setup, but thank you very much for that. Yeah, I haven't fired any Funky products actually myself to date. I have got a few this year to fire. They are still a relatively new brand. They've only been in the country a few years, and they've only been available at select retailers. They are becoming more accessible, and I think we're going to see them become even more accessible in the next few years. And yeah, I'm sure they're going to be winning lots more awards in the Firework Awards in future years for sure. So let's take a look at the breakdown of votes then for the best medium category, best medium cake 2025. And yeah, there you can see over half the votes, 52.5%, were for Funk and Vile's Scala. So a clear winner there in that category. Charlie808 says, great job, Marko. Honestly, hats off to you. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. Thank you. The funky stuff looks very good, to be fair. Want to see it in person. Yeah, I do too as well, Craig. Love Skybreaker and Freak were great when I fired them, says Mark Guitar. Yeah, so clear winner for best medium cake, Funk and Vile Scala. Second place was Freak by Vivid. Third place, Butterfly Bugs from Celtic. Fourth place was Golden Glory from Celtic. And again, it's interesting because Golden Glory is quite a small cake. A lot of people would class that as a small cake. It's tiny. I haven't actually got one to show you, but it's very, very small. It's smaller than Screaming Banshee, for example, in terms of its physical size and powder weight. But because it has 30 shots, so it's above 25, so it can't be included in the small cake category. So it's technically a medium cake by the definition of what classes as a medium cake for these awards. So Golden Glory, quite a small cake, but technically a medium cake for the purpose of these awards. And there we go, you can see the vote share there. So let's have a look at some past winners as well in the best medium cake. So yeah, Funky, clear winner in 2025. Last year, Argento, a relatively unheard of brand. Again, they were quite new. I think last year, maybe the year before. They haven't got a massive variety of products at the moment, but they are quite good from what I've seen of videos. They look almost on par with Funky products. So yeah, last year Argento, Thalia, I don't know how you pronounce that. And then in 2023, 2022 and 2021, Prestigious Pyrotechnics won with White Spirit, which is a lovely, lovely cake. I've fired that myself. Really nice cake. They have a range of cakes, spirit cakes, White Spirit, Frozen Spirit, Dark Spirit, Neon Spirit. I may have missed one, but they're really nice. I think 49 shot cakes, really good cakes. So yeah, there's been a bit of a mixture of winners there over the past 3 years on that. Stephen says, I loved Funky Scala B, brilliant colours, definitely quality pyro. Mark says, I have 3 Golden Glories for a mid-level of the finale. Yes, I've done small displays before where I've used like a half dozen of those Golden Glories just as part of the finale, spread out, really kind of fill the sky. Even though there's not a lot of power in them, if you want lots of stuff in the sky, they're a great little cake for doing that. Argento is a line of Funky. Yes, it is. It's a kind of a sister brand, if you like, of Funky, but there's not that many Argento products in the UK at the moment. Let's have a look at some of the past runners-up for best medium cake. This year, Freak by Vivid Pyrotechnics. Last year, Prestigious, Frozen Spirit, and then the year before, Vivid Freak again. So Freak by Vivid seems to be really popular. You know, they had a good share of the votes. This year, they came second, and they also came runners-up in 2023. Okay, let's move on then to Best Large Cake. Here's the criteria for what classifies as a Best Large Cake. It's any category F3 retail barrage that has a minimum of 49 shots and a net explosive content that doesn't exceed 1,000 grams or a kilogram. So those are the criteria. Let's have a look at this year's contenders and let me know what you think of these in the chat. Hallmark Fireworks Palms Away, Karaticus Pots Titan of the Ocean, Vivid Delirious, Vivid Venom, and Rikeo Pyro Addict 1. So again, quite a variety in there as well. Karaticus Pots, you may not have heard of those. They're a relatively new brand. I love the fact that the firework industry, the retail brands in the UK really seems to be taking off. About 5-10 years ago, there weren't that many brands to choose from. These days, there's new brands popping up all the time. Karaticus Pots is one of the newer ones. They launched a year, 2 years ago. Again, relatively tricky to get hold of. There's not many retailers that are stocking them at the moment, but that may well change because, of course, they won this year with Titan of the Ocean. And they won quite comfortably, actually, with that 38% share of the votes. In second place, we had Delirious from Vivid. In third place, it was Rikeo Pyro Addict 1. I really like Rikeo products. Again, they're like a sister brand of Vivid. So there's lots of brands that are kind of interconnected, but Rikeo are kind of a sister brand of Vivid. So it's Vivid quality. They had 18% of the votes. And then 11% of the votes, Vivid Venom, and 7% was Palms Away by Hallmark's Fireworks. Mark says, I fired all of them except Titan of the Ocean, all really good. Yes, I've not fired Titan of the Ocean, but it did look good from the footage. I tell you what, should we take a little, I think it's worth having a look at this one because it does look, from the footage, it does look like a really good firework. Here we go. So yeah, there we go. That was Titan of the Ocean by Karaticus Pots Fireworks. Brand new, well, in the last year or so, and relatively new brand. So you may not have heard of them, but I'm sure that's not going to be the last we hear of them. Let me put this back over to there so we can see the results again. Let's catch up on a little bit of chat. Stephen says Weapon X from Rikeo was very good, is very good. And Mark agrees with Stephen on that. So yeah, Rikeo do have some really nice products. If you've not tried any of their products, I don't think you'll be disappointed by those. They're really good quality. I say they're on a par with Vivid in terms of the performance and quality, for sure. So there we go. That was Best Large Cake. Let's have a look at the past year's winners. 2024, Argento with Thalia. 2023, Vivid Delirious. 22, Prolific by Prestigious Pyrotechnics. And 2021, Celtic and Motherlode. Let's have a look at some of the past runners-up as well. So obviously this year, Delirious from Vivid, and for the 2 years prior to that, Prestigious and Profusion. So, best compound. Now this is quite an interesting criteria. What is a compound firework? Compound firework is a number of fireworks that are all fused together and designed to be lit by one fuse, and then they go through in sequence one after the other. So the criteria for best compound was any category F2 or F3 retail barrage made up of 2 or more individual cakes that are intended to be fired using a single fuse. The total net explosive content of the compound must exceed 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams. So let's have a look at the contenders in this year's category. 6 were shortlisted this year. Funky's Gold Bomber, Vivid's El Loco, Celtic The Dogs, Quantum Fireworks Magnificent 7, Primed, Adrenalise, and Vivid Gold Fever. So, yeah, some big compounds in there. I actually fired, what have I fired from that list? I've definitely fired Magnificent 7 last year when that arrived. That's a 7-minute compound, supposedly. Mine lasted just over 6 minutes, I think. But that's quite a long-lasting compound. So compounds can last anywhere between a minute up to, well, as we've seen from Quantum, like 7 minutes. So they are truly a display in a box. So if you're looking for something simple like New Year's Eve, where you don't want to light a lot of fireworks, you want to light one fuse and have a display that lasts a number of minutes, then compounds are probably the way to go if you've got the space. Although that said, there are some F2 compounds as well as F3. So if you've got a smaller space, make sure you get the F2 compounds. So those are the contenders this year. Here's the breakdown of the results. So Funky with Gold Bomber, quite a clear winner here, 40% share of the votes, 40.2 to be precise. The others were all quite close actually. So Quantum's Magnificent 7 and Celtic's The Dogs came joint runners up, both with 15.7% share of the votes. And then Vivid's El Loco with 13.7, followed by Gold Fever by Vivid, and then finally Adrenalise from Primed. Stephen says, I've got Gold Fever for Bonfire Night, looks very special. Brad says, Gold Bomber is easily going to be the best compound for next year's. It's insane. We shall see who wins next year, because of course, we don't know what's new this year. There might be something that stands out. We are still waiting for some fireworks to get out to retailers. I believe they're in the country now, all the fireworks for this year, but some of them are still stuck in ports. So they've not actually got out yet, so we've not actually seen them. So there might be some surprises coming this year for compounds. So we'll see. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Gold Bomber will win again next year. We shall see. Too small for my garden though, unfortunately, yes. And that's the thing with these. Always check the distances. If it's F2, if it's an F2 compound, you're going to need 8, probably 15 meters between your compound firework and your spectators. If it's category F3, you need at least 25 meters. So do make sure that you get fireworks that are appropriate to the space where you're firing them. A Gold Bomber looks very good, was what everyone's saying in the chat. So those are the results for Best Compound 2025. Let's look at some of the previous winners. 2024, Vivid with Camaro Rainbow XL. Vivid won also in 2023 with El Loco. And then 2021 and 2022 was Prestigious's Pyroclastic Storm, which is an amazing compound. Really nice compound. I really like that one. So those are the winners. Let's have a look at some of the runners-up. So this year, joint, it was the Celtic Dogs with Magnificent 7 from Quantum, 2024 El Loco, and 2023 Fireball from Funky. Mark says, yeah, we talk about Gold Bomber. So it's finale. Okay, so your finale this year, 18 rocket volley, 30mm candle fan, Golden Glories in the middle, and a couple of crackle fountains at the base. Nice. That sounds like a nice finale there, Mark. Okay, so now let's move on to Best Fountain. What were the criteria here? So any category F2 or F3, retail fountain or fountain pack. I don't actually think any fountain pack has ever won this. It's always been individual fountains, but the category is open to fountain packs as well. So let's have a look at the contenders this year. Monster Fountain / Golden Geyser / CF0129. It's been known by a number of different names. This is a massive fountain that Celtic brought in for the first time last year. It wasn't originally going to be available to consumers, which is why originally it just had a product code and not a name. They hurriedly gave it the name Monster Fountain last year. This year it's had some proper branding and it's called Golden Geyser. But yes, that was one of the contenders this year. Zeus's Crazy Cone, that's been around for years. That always gets a nomination every year. Vivid Goldilocks, which is a lovely, here it is here, in fact. This came in for the first time last year, 2 years ago, I think. Lovely, tall golden fountain with some blue in there. Really, really nice. A really nice fountain that from Vivid. So that was one of the contenders this year. Vulcan's Bengal Fugo Mix. Yeah, and again, I've got this here as well. It's this little pack of 5 fountains here. I fired that for the first time a couple of years ago. They are really nice. They're only category F2. They're only small, but the colours on them are really nice. When I'm doing multiple sights across the front of my display, I always use those, and they do look really good. So yeah, that was the Bengal Fugo pack, or Bengal Fugo Mix, I think it's called, and Celtic the Astronomer. So a nice range of different products there. Again, Celtic with 2 nominations, and Vivid in there, and Zeus and Vulcan. I don't think I'll fire the Monster Fountain again, but I'm glad I did that in March this year. Yeah, so that Monster Fountain, it's impressive. It reaches 10 metres high, but it comes with a price tag. It's about £60 for a fountain that lasts a minute. Now, if you follow my channel, you'll see that a week or so ago, I put some exclusive landed footage, the first landed footage of Celtic's new Golden Shower Fountain, which is a smaller version, only category F2. It reaches an impressive height, 7 metres, but that's only about £15. So I think now that Celtic have brought that in, I think that's going to be a monster fountain killer. I really do, because the quality of that smaller one, it's comparable, not quite as high, but still impressive. And of course, it's a lot cheaper, and you only need a smaller safety distance. So I think that Golden Shower Fountain from Celtic is actually going to kill off the monster fountain for consumers and retailers. You'll still see it in big professional shows, I'm sure, but I think the average consumer is going to opt for the Golden Shower Fountain rather than the Monster Fountain. Craig says, I have Goldilocks this year also. Yes, it is a lovely fountain. You won't be disappointed with it. Jumping Jelly Beans by Kim Bolton is still one for me. Yes, I think that might have been a previous contender or winner. We'll have a look in a minute. Let's have a look at the vote share this year. This sounds like the Eurovision Awards, doesn't it? I'm kind of doing vote shares and things like that. We should go to different juries around the country and get their votes and make it proper Eurovision. Anyway, Celtic's Monster Fountain, yeah, there you go, 38.6% share of the votes. Second was Vivid Goldilocks with nearly 30% share of the votes. Third place, Crazy Cone from Zeus. And then Vulcan's Bengal Fugo Mix, and Celtic coming in 4th and 5th there. Standard make a similar version of Jumping Jelly Beans. Yes, it's called Spectrum. There's a number of different brands that have jelly bean fountains. They're lovely. The audiences always love them. If you can mount them off the ground, because they don't spew up very high, but they do have lovely fallout, so get them off the ground if you can. If you've watched my streams that we've done from this garage before, where I've assembled firework displays and things here and components of that, you'll see I use speaker stands to raise my fountains off the ground. If you're going to use jelly bean fountains, yeah, definitely raise them off the ground. But Kim Bolton have one, Standard have one, there's a few others as well, but there we go. Let's have a look at some of the past winners of the Best Fountain Award, and you can see there is Kim Bolton Jumping Jelly Beans in 2021. They won 2022 Glacier Rising, which is a conic fountain from Celtic. Lovely silver fountain, goes really, really high. Zeus Crazy Cone in 2023. Goldilocks won in 2024. And of course, this year it was Golden Geezer. But I think next year, as I say, I don't think we're going to see Golden Geezer on this list next year. Well, we'll see it on the previous year's winners, of course, but I don't think it'll be a contender next year. But I do think that Celtic's new monster. No, we'll start that again. It's not the Monster Fountain, the Golden Shower Fountain, the smaller Golden Shower. I think that's going to be my hot tip for certainly a contender, if not potential winner for next year in the Best Fountain. But we'll see. I do like the fact that fountains are making a bit of a comeback, a bit of a resurgence over the last few years, because for many years fountains were pretty much all the same. You get a few showers of sparks and it descends into crackle. There wasn't a lot of variety. I like that with things like Goldilocks and things now, we're getting some nice gold in fountains, we're getting some nice deep blues, we're getting fountains that don't just have crackle in, we're getting some ones with some nice plumes and some nice height. So I like there's a bit of resurgence there going on with fountains. Kamara Brocade, Chris says, I've got a Golden Geezer and a row of 6 golden showers this year, thanks to your video reviews. Both look great. Yes, I think they would work. They look very similar. They would look very good. If you've got the space, they'd look good together, a mixture. You know, if you've got like 3 or 4, 5, 6 firing sights across the front of your display, it's going to be quite expensive to put a Golden Geezer on all of those. Why not put a Golden Geezer in the middle and then some of the smaller ones at the side? They're not that much smaller. They're going to be impressive. So there we go. So those are some of the past winners of the best fountain. Let's look at some of the past runners-up. So this year, Goldilocks came second place. Year before, Zeus Crazy Cone. That seems to make an appearance as a winner or runner-up every year. Haven't fired one myself yet, but it always seems to feature in these awards. And then in 2023, Krakatoa from Primed. Stephen says, yeah, the standard Serenity fountain pack looks good for the price. Yes, that's had a number of different names, that particular pack. I think there's a video on my channel comparing the footage of that to the Bright Lights pack, which is exactly the same. Bright Lights was a pack of low noise fountains that was sold in Tesco a few years ago. I think it's still available actually in Tesco. They've been the past year. Probably going to be available again this year. But Serenity is exactly the same, just with a different name and a slightly heftier price tag. But yes, a nice pack of low noise fountains. It goes back to what we're saying about how there's more fountains these days with some nice variety. And it is a nice pack of fountains, that Bright Lights / Serenity pack. There's some nice fountains in there, including a jelly bean fountain as well. There we are. Tesco's were selling them last year and got a lot of buyers due to them being low noise for young kids. And yes, low noise fireworks are becoming really popular as well. You may have noticed in recent years, lots more fireworks coming with low noise effects, which are really good. It kind of pushes the creativity boundaries a little bit, because there was a time when people wanted noise, 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 noise. And so brands would try and make their fireworks as loud as possible at the expense of the effects. So you get a loud bang, but you wouldn't really get anything pretty. So with low noise fireworks, obviously the focus isn't on the sound, the focus is on the visuals. So it's meant for a lot more creativity, I think, in fountains, and not just fountains, but cakes as well in recent years. So there is a nice selection of low noise stuff now. In fact, there's enough low noise products out there available to consumers now where you could do an entire display just using low noise products. There's that much available and that variety out there at the moment. So those are the fountains. Vivid Goldilocks has gone down to 8 meters under category F2. It was always 8 meters. So this is Anthony. Anthony says it's gone down to 8 meters. It was always 8 meters ever since they brought this in. It was 8 meters. But if you've got one of these, you may notice that there is a label stuck over the original safety label. You probably can't see it on this camera. Tell you what if I switch to this camera? Can you see? You probably can't see. This label here, where is it? Here, is actually stuck on over the original one. The original one, it was still category F2. But there were some safety issues with the labelling on Vivid's Goldilocks, which I pointed out to them last year or whenever it came out 2 years ago, and they had to reissue the labels. But no, it has always been category F2 with an 8 meter safety distance. But this is a big fountain, and it's a conic fountain. Conic fountains, if they go wrong, now they shouldn't go wrong. It's very rare that they do, but conic fountains, big conic fountains, if they go wrong, they will go with a bit more of a bang than just a standard straight fountain. So would I fire this at 8 meters? I'd be hesitant. If you can get your audience further back, at least 15 meters, I would suggest that, even though, in fact, actually it says, there we go, spectators must be at least 15 meters away. So it is category F2, but spectators need to be 15 meters with this, and for good reason. Because this reaches some height, but if this blows, if this malfunctions, it's going to go with a big, big bang. So yeah, 15 meters on that, but it is category F2. Mark says, I've got a pack of Lametta fountains. Looking forward to firing those. Yes, I've got a pack of those this year as well. They're from Funky Fireworks. 5 different fountains. I was expecting 5 in the box, but I was expecting 2 to be the same, another 2 to be the same, and 1. So I was going to use them across the front of the display, and it's going to look nice and symmetrical. When I got them and opened up the box, yeah, they're all different. 5 individual fountains that are all different effects, which is great, but it's going to ruin the symmetry of my display. So I'm having to rethink that. But yes, it does look a nice pack of fountains. Yeah, Simon says Lametta looks good for £19. Yes, for £19 for 5 fountains, but they're good fountains. They've got, I can't remember what the NEC is per fountain, but there's a lot in there. There's some weight in there. Mark says, a friend of mine fired them this summer and said they are the prettiest fountains he's ever fired. Interesting. As I say, I have got a pack. I'm keen to fire them. So there we go. That's fountains. Let's move on then now and talk a little bit about Catherine wheels or wheels. Here's the criteria for the best wheel contenders. So it's any category F2 or F3, single Catherine wheel or multi-pack of wheels. Again, I don't think a multi-pack of wheels has ever won or come runners up. It's always been single wheels, but they are eligible for inclusion in the best wheel category of the Firework Awards. So let's take a look at the contenders this year. Zeus's carousel wheel, which I have here. In fact, might even pick, there we go. Oh, there's a good shot of it. There's the carousel wheel. It's a square wheel. How does that work? But actually it does work, and it works really, really well. So yeah, that's the carousel wheel from Zeus. Been around for a number of years. One of the first kind of big wheels. I want to stick my neck out and say that. There have been other ones, but Zeus do it really well. Celtics do the twist. Really, really nice wheel. That was the first to fire that in the UK and get some footage of that a couple of years ago. That's a really nice wheel. Kimbolton's colourful spinner is very, very similar to Do the Twist. There is a video on my channel where you see the footage of them both side by side. They are very, very similar wheels. Absolute Fireworks, the Revolution 3-pack. There we go. I take that back. There was a contender that was a 3-pack. The Revolution pack of 3 wheels from Absolute Fireworks was a contender this year, and the Fantasia wheel from Zeus Fireworks. So let's have a look at the breakdown of votes on that. So it's fairly close actually between Carousel from Zeus and Do the Twist from Celtic. Zeus had 37.4% of the votes and Celtic 31.3%. And in third place, Kimbolton's colourful spinner, followed by Absolute and Zeus there, coming in fourth and fifth. Bond says, just a shame in the last 20 seconds. Yeah, I think we're talking about those funky fountains. Don't see many Catherine wheels. You used to see a lot when I was a kid, say Stephen, and you're absolutely right. I've noticed that, and we have spoken about that on my stream before. If you're regular on my stream, we have talked about that, because you used to get a Catherine wheel in every single selection box of fireworks. Now, these days, yeah, there's a few selection boxes that do have Catherine wheels in, but not every box does. So yeah, Catherine wheels, not as prominent as they used to be. Why? I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably to do with the fact that, you know, you've got to nail it into a post or the side of your shed or wherever, and not everybody has those in their garden. And so it's a firework that if you don't have a post or a tree or something to hammer it into, you can't really use it. So I'm guessing that's why we don't see them as often in selection boxes these days. I don't know. But there are some nice big wheels out there, as you can see from some of the contenders in this category. Let's have a look at some of the previous winners. So you can see, yeah, Zeus's Carousel has won for 3 years on the run. It's actually won 4 times out of the last 5 years, which is as long as the awards have been running. Super Spinners from Celtic won in 2022. That's a really nice wheel, Super Spinners, if you get a chance to fire that. Slightly smaller wheel, but I think it has 6 motors on it. But really cheap as chips, the Super Spinners wheel. Really good value, good duration on it. Yes, the effects are not as big as the Carousel wheel, but for the price, it's a really nice wheel, the Celtic Super Spinners. Adam says, I'm really enjoying the stream. I've got a few of those products in the list. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, these are the voted the best of the best. So if you're looking for ideas, because Bonfire Night, let's be honest, it's only a month away today. It's the 5th of October if you're watching this live. If you're watching the replay, it's probably not the 5th of October. But right now, well, as we're live, it's a month to go to Bonfire Night. So if you're still humming and ahhing about which fireworks to buy, then why not check out some of these winners and contenders and runners-up in the UK Firework Awards. So let's have a look at the runners-up. So this year, Celtics Do the Twist came second. Year before, Kimbolton's Colour Spinner. I say there's very little difference between the two. Out of the two, I do think the Do the Twist wheel does slightly have the edge, but they are quite similar wheels. I'd be quite happy to substitute one for another in a display if I couldn't get hold of a particular one. They're interchangeable. And in 2023, TNT, I think their only nomination, only runner-up in the Firework Awards ever, but for the 6-foot sparkle wheel in 2023. Okay, let's move on then to the best candle or best Roman candle category. Here are the criteria for the nominations and contenders in this category. It's any category F2 or F3 single Roman candle, or multi-pack of candles. And the category covers any single shots, multi-shots, or candle bundles or multi-pack of candles. So there we go, there's the criteria. Let's have a look at the contenders this year. So Vulcan with two nominations, 2 shortlisted contenders, Celtic with 2 and Zeus with 1. So Vulcan's blue to red bundle and Vulcan's Hummer bundle. Vulcan brought in these candles last year, late last year, I think after bonfire night in fact, so you won't have probably seen these yet, but they look really impressive, these candle bundles. But they're category F3, so you do need the space for them. There's 7 different varieties, 2 of which here you can see were shortlisted for Best Roman Candle. Zeus's Royal Palms, that's been around for years. That gets a nomination every year and usually wins or gets runners-up every year for this category. Celtic's Hong Kong candles, they've been around for years as well. Lots of different variety in those. F3 again though, so make sure you've got the space. But the pink coconut, pink cocoa has been a contender there this year and I think in previous years as well. And Celtic's Let's Go candle, here's the Let's Go candle. 56 shot, low noise candle from Celtic. How do you know it's low noise? So Celtic, I really like the fact they've done this. Celtic's products now, if they've got a red label, they're low noise. If they've got a black label or a different kind of branded label, they are not low noise. But if it's red, it's low noise. So little tip there. Let's go back to these. There we go. Let's have a look at the breakdown of votes. So a clear winner here, Vulcan's Hummers bundle. Hummer effects are really becoming popular again this year. There's a number of brands that are bringing in Hummer cakes, Hummer candles. I like the fact they're coming back because audiences love that effect. They really do. They're a great effect. Try and get one in your display if you can because the audience are going to love it. Even if it's not these candles, Wolf from Yorgi is a nice Hummer cake. There's a new one from Celtic. There's various other ones as well. Jonathan's do one as well called Howling Hounds. There's a few. There's lots of, there's quite a few now, but yeah. Get some Hummers in your display. Audiences will thank you for it. So there we go. So Hummers bundle came first. In second place, Royal Palms. Yeah, it always does well in these awards. Royal Palms from Zeus. Third was Hong Kong Pink Cocoa by Celtic. And then joint fourth was Celtic's Let's Go and the blue to red bundle from Vulcan. Mark says, my favourite candle of all time is the signature range of 8-shot 30mm single shots from Classic. Yes, they are very good. I do actually have some of those. I have fired them as well. They're single shots. Interestingly, I don't think a single shot has ever been shortlisted or won the best Roman candle, even though that's the category they would be included in. I don't know. Maybe we need a best single shot category now that there's more single shots available, or is there? If you follow my channel, you'll know about the controversy with Vivid's new single shots that they brought in this year. We won't talk about that now. We've talked about that before. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But yeah, there are a number of single shots available now, but classic ones, yeah, very good, very powerful. And it's interesting that they've never actually been nominated or shortlisted in the Best Roman Candle Awards. It's interesting that. Maybe we'll see them nominated in a future year. The Dum Bum Salute candles were fun. Can't get them anymore because they exceeded noise limits, says Brad. Yeah, so Dum Bum products, I did actually fire one. If you watched my video where we looked at the products I used in my gender reveal display that I did a week or two back, I did use a Dum Bum product in that. Dum Bums are harder to come by now because they are very loud. Did they exceed the legal limit? I'm not sure. Did they come close to it? Yes. So I think importers have just decided it's easy to just not bring those in anymore. But yes, Dum Bums were certainly loud. Gemstones Big Shot tubes look good for the money, says Stephen. Yes, have I fired those? I can't remember. I may have done. But yes, they are big bore shot tubes. So there we go. So yeah, there's the breakdown of results. Let's look at some past winners. Best Roman Candle winner 2024 was Zeus with Royal Palms, and in 2023 and in 2021. So very, very popular. If you're not sure which Roman candle to get, well, there you go. Royal Palms from Zeus has come winner or runner-up pretty much every year. So there you go. And Celtic's Let's Go won in 2022. Let's look at some of the runners-up. There we go. Royal Palms again this year, runner-up. Hong Kong Candles in 2024 from Celtic's. And Gemstones Big Boom 3 in 2023. There we go. So let's move on then to Best Selection Box. Here's the criteria for that. It's any category F2 or F3 selection box. Oh, I realised I spelled box wrong on there. I probably shouldn't have mentioned that because you probably didn't notice. Box with an E on the end. Why not? Selection box of fireworks in the UK market. Selection box must include a minimum of 2 separate types of firework and should be sold and packaged as a traditional selection box. Ryan is here, says, hey, what's up, Great Marko? Hello, Ryan. Thanks for joining in. Ollie Clark's got to bounce, got to go. I'll catch the rest of the stream on the replay. Thanks for the evening's entertainment. Looking forward to many more streams over the next month or so. Thanks, Ollie. Yes, and see you again on one of my streams very soon. So there we go. There's the criteria for best selection box. Let's take a look at the contenders this year. Prime's Alpha Selection Box, Jonathan's Fireworks Gala Selection Box, Hallmark's Guy Fawkes Selection Box, Kim Bolton's Gold Selection, and Jonathan's Masquerade. So Jonathan's there with two contenders, Prime, Kim Bolton, and Hallmark. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the share of the votes. A little closer this time than some of the other categories. So the winner was Kim Bolton's Gold Selection with 29.9%. Close behind that was Prime's Alpha Selection Box with 25.8% share of the votes. Jonathan's Fireworks Masquerade Box came in third. Jonathan's Fireworks Gala Box came in fourth. And Hallmark's Guy Fawkes Selection in fifth. So there's the breakdown, but quite an interesting spread of votes there as well. There is a clear winner, obviously, but not a runaway winner. Stephen says Pyroworks Predator Pack might make next year's nominations for selection box. Yes, that's massive. I haven't actually fired it yet, but I have seen some China footage of that, and it does look immense. Another one that we might see a contender for next year will be the big Pyro. Is it Pyro Overdose? The name's just escaped me, from Hallmark, that I fired and unboxed a few weeks ago. That's massive, a massive crate. Technically a selection box, but people will call it a crate because it's so big. So yeah, we might see some big crates potentially nominated or shortlisted next year. Who knows? But that's up to you. I don't shortlist these fireworks. I don't choose these fireworks. I don't actually vote in these awards. These are all done by the UK Firework Alliance in association with the UK Firework Review. I'm just honoured to be allowed to host the awards each year. So I say I have no input in the nominations, the shortlisting, or the actual voting in these awards. So there we go. There's the results. Let's look at some of the past winners. So Gold Selections won the past 2 years, and then prior to that, Jonathan's Fireworks have won with Gala in 2023 and their Shindig Selection Box in 2022 and 2021. Runners-up wise, Primed, their Alpha Selection Box this year. Last year's it with the Shindig box from Jonathan's, and then Primed the year before. So looking at those kind of, we've got Primed, we've got Jonathan's, we've got Kim Bolton. If you're looking for a selection box, because there are lots and lots of different selection boxes, there's some brands to look out for: Kim Bolton, Jonathan, and Primed. They're not the cheapest, but you're going to get some good quality in there. If you like selection boxes, I've been doing a bit of a podcast, a selection box Sunday over the past few weeks, where I've unboxed and fired and reviewed a number of selection boxes. I think we're up to 6 or 7 of them now. You'll find those on my channel. If you like selection boxes like I do, then go check out those. So there's some runners-up. Let's have a look. I'm seriously considering getting the gold box this year. My retailer in Stockton is selling them for £50, says Brad. There's so much in there. Yeah, absolutely. They're a good box. I haven't personally fired it, but I've seen the contents of it and I've seen footage of it, and it does look really good. Right, let's move on without any further ado to the best barrage pack. Here's the criteria. Any category F2 or F3 barrage pack on sale in the UK. The pack must contain only barrages, that's cakes, and must include at least 2 different barrages. Here's the contenders this year. So Vivid there with 2, the Asylum barrage pack and the Legends assortment. Celtic there with their 10 pack. They have a number of different barrage packs at the moment, but their Celtic 10 pack was in there. Zeus with the Super 4 assortment, and Primed with the Full House barrage pack. Let's take a look at the breakdown of results, and there is a very clear winner here this year. The Asylum pack from Vivid, 48.5% share of the votes, so nearly close to 50% share of the votes there for the Asylum pack. In second place was, interestingly, the Super 4 assortment from Zeus. I was a little surprised that came second place, but it was fairly close, let's be honest, between second and third, and indeed fourth. So second place, Super 4 assortment. Third place, Celtic 10 pack. Fourth place, the Legends assortment from Vivid, and Primed with the Full House barrage, bringing up the rear there. Adam says, I love selection boxes. They are always fun. Yes, they are. I'm really nostalgic about selection boxes. I do love a good selection box. Liam says Clash of the Titans would win hands down if it was a consumer friendly price. So that was one of the winners earlier on in one of the earlier categories. It does look a good cake. Yes, it does come with a hefty price tag. It is still relatively new. As that becomes more accessible for more retailers, will we see the price come down? Will we see retailers do deals? Maybe, but it looks a good cake. But yes, it does come with a price tag. Just Ricky says deserved. Asylum is amazing and amazing for the price. And yes, the Asylum pack has done very well in previous years as well, as we'll see now. So they won in 2025 and it also won in 2021 and 2022. In 23 and 24, Celtic won with the 6-pack in 23 and the Quiet Ones, which was a nice little low noise selection box barrage pack in 2024. That did quite well, and that was nice at the time because at the time there wasn't really any other barrage packs that were low noise. That's now changed with Vulcan Sound of Silence pack, which is bigger and more impressive than Celtic's Quiet Ones, but I think it's category F3, so you do need more space with that one. So there's the winners. Let's have a look at some of the previous runners-up. This year's Super 4 assortment, and then in 2023 and 2024, the Vivid Asylum pack. So if we look at both of those, Vivid have actually, their Asylum pack, every single year these awards have been running, have either come runners-up or have won every single year. So if you're looking for a barrage pack, that's naturally one to go for. The Asylum pack, let's have a look. This is Stephen saying, had the Asylum pack last year. Apart from one cake failing, I was impressed. Varied colours and effects. Mark, do you know if Vivid have updated the effects from last year's batches? I don't know. I know they have previously updated it last year, year before. I think it was Professor X in there, was a crackle one instead of salutes. I don't know if it's been updated again for 2025. I'm not sure. I will try and find out, but it won't be on this stream. So if I do find out, we'll talk about that on another stream for sure. Chris says, I've heard the Asylum is the best selling barrage pack in the UK, hence its popularity. And yeah, that might be why it's won or come runners up in this year's awards, and every year that we've done these awards, it's always come runner up or won because it is widely available. Celtic's ones, I think they're becoming quite available. Super 4 assortment, I think, is less available. There's not as many retailers that have that available. And Prime Full House, yeah, that's quite available. But yes, certainly the Vivid and the Celtic ones, I would say they're the most accessible to people. And that's potentially why they do very well in these awards. Brad says, I've had the Celtic 6-pack. It's class. Liam says it's the old Avengers assembled pack. There we go. So, right, let's move on then now to what's next. The best single rocket. So this is open to any category F2 or F3 rocket that's sold singly. Now, this is interesting because, yes, you can buy rockets singly. Some retailers do split up rocket packs and sell them individually as well. So there's a bit of a blurred in terms of what's classed as a single rocket. If it's something that's sold singly, even if it's part of a pack, if you can buy it just on its own without being part of a pack, then it fits into this category. So here's the contenders this year. Funky's Alpha 1. This gets nominated and shortlisted pretty much every year. The Monster Fountain from Celtic. Now that's one where it is sold as a pack. There are two different ones. There's a glittering one and strobing one and a brocade one. So we think it's the brocade one that's been shortlisted here. Vivid's the Big Reveal. Quantum's Golden Arrow and Primed King's Crown. That's one that's been around for a while and that usually gets some good nominations as well. Stephen's saying, yeah, the 6-pack is solid. The 12-pack looks close to Asylum pack in quality. Absolutely. Right. So let's look at the breakdown then for single rockets. Again, a very clear winner here with 50% share of the votes. Funky's Alpha 1. I haven't fired it personally. I've seen the footage. I know people rate it really highly. I have fired a lot of rockets in my time, most of which you'll find on my channel, and some big rockets as well. I haven't fired any funky rockets to date, but the Alpha 1 there, clear winner with 50% share of the votes. Clear, well, not particularly clear second and third place, quite close. Second place, again, surprisingly, Quantum's Golden Arrow. I don't know much about that. I haven't fired it, but that came second with 19.4% share of the votes, hot on the heels of Primed King's Crown with 18.4% of the votes, and then Celtic's Monster, not to be confused, we talked about naming earlier. Celtic have a Monster fountain and Celtic have a Monster rocket. Confusing? Yeah, can be. But there we go. So they came 4th and 5th this year. Let's have a look at some of the previous year's winners. Well, there we go. There's Funky Alpha 1 winning in 2025, 2024, 2023. 2022 was Kimbolton's Raptor Glowworm. Again, I'm not that familiar with that rocket, but that one in 2022. And then 2021 primed Supernova Strobe, which from the footage looks like a really good strobe rocket with a massive hang time on those strobes. So a worthy winner there. Let's have a look at some of the runners-up. King's Crown from Primed in 2025. The Monster Fountain from Celtic in both 2024 and 2023. Okay, let's move on then to rocket packs. So best rocket pack, here are the criteria. Any category F2 or F3 rocket pack on sale in the UK. The pack must contain at least 2 rockets. They can be identical rockets, they don't have to be different, but a pack of at least 2 rockets. And here are the contenders. And we've got 6 contenders again in this year's awards. Funky's Super Bomber pack, Vivid's VSR 3 pack, Funky's Blatterzance pack. That's one thing I struggle with funky names. some of the pronunciation, again, because it's not British, can be quite tricky. But Funky's Blatterzan pack, we'll call it. Kimbolton's Harpoon pack, Zeus's 3-inch shellhead rockets, and Funky's Gigant Salute pack. So 6 in this year's winner and 6 year's contenders. And again, there is a clear winner here. Let's have a look. So Funky's Super Bomber Rakuten pack with 37.6% share of the votes. In second place, Vivid's VSR 3 pack. In third percent with 18.8%, Zeus's 3-inch shell head rockets. And then with 11.9%, we've got Kimbolton's Harpoon pack. Let's have a look at some of the previous year's winners. So 2024 and 2023 was Vivid. In 2024 with the VSR 4, the big ball head rockets. They do VSR 2s, which are small ball head, VSR 3s, medium, and then VSR 4s, slightly bigger. And then Reapers, their Reapers pack in 2023. Lightning Hawks by Prestigious in 2022. Now you may have heard on the channel, we've talked about Hawk style rockets before. There's a number of brands that all produce very similar size rockets. Prestigious's Lightning Hawk pack won in 2023. But a lot of the Hawk packs are very similar. But that was the standout one in 2022. And then the Super Rocks pack from Celtic in 2021. Brad says, I think Pyroworks Masters of the Air will win next year. Yes, so Masters of the Air, if you've not seen it, there's footage of that on my channel. I have fired them. They're strobing rockets. They're really unusual. You've probably never seen anything quite like it before in rockets. There's a number of different ones that are now in. Bright Star have got their own one. I think there's a couple of other brands that are bringing in strobe rockets as well. I would be very surprised if we don't see at least one strobe rocket shortlisted for the best rocket. Maybe probably best single rocket, maybe, rather than best rocket pack next year. But I'd be surprised if we don't see a strobe rocket. Will it be the Pyroworks ones? I don't know. We'll see. They were the first to bring it in, so you could argue they're the original strobe rockets. Be interesting to fire a number of different brands ones next to each other and see if they're all the same. To be fair, a lot of them I'm sure are made in the same factory with just different wrappers. But yes, I think we will see a strobing rocket. Now that they're here in the UK, this is the first year they've been available. They did actually land last year, but they couldn't have been sold. We won't talk about that here. We've talked about it on another stream. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But this is the first year that strobe rockets are available to consumers. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a strobe rocket nominated, if not potentially winning, maybe in these awards next year. Let's have a look at some of the previous runners-up. Vivid, VSR 3 this year, last year VSR 2, and Super Bomber from Funky in 2023. Okay, let's move on to the best low noise. I really like this category because it's not just limited to cakes, it's open to any firework that produces a low noise effect. Here's the official description. Any category F2 or F3 firework on sale in the UK that produces a low noise effect. This category is open to any type of firework where the principal pyrotechnic effect is considered low noise. So it doesn't mean it's silent, but it means it contains no loud bangs. So this is kind of wide open to any low noise firework, which I like. Here's the contenders this year. Brothers Angel Dust XL. We saw it over here before. There's Angel Dust XL. Celtic Colour Crowns, Celtic Blinking Magic, which is a lovely low noise fanned cake. They do actually have two very similar, Blinking Magic and Blinking Surprise. One has, I think, crackles, which I think is Blinking Magic, and Blinking Surprise has coloured silver spits, which is really nice as well. Funky, blatters and rockets, so low noise rockets. Now that's really quite unusual. We don't see many low noise rockets, but this looks a really nice pack of low noise rockets from Funky. And Vivid Anti-Venom. I really like Anti-Venom. Vivid have got two equally sized cakes. They're 100-shot cakes. They're only category F2. One's called Venom, which is noisy, multi-effect, and one's called Anti-Venom, which is low noise. Both lasting 2 minutes. Both relatively inexpensive for their shot count. So really nice. So some really strong contenders, I think, this year in this awards. And that's reflected by the fact that there was quite a... There's a clear winner, obviously, but it's not a runaway winner. Let's have a look at the vote share. There we go. So a quarter of the votes, just over 25.8% for Vivid's Anti-Venom. And then in second place, this was quite close. So 22.7% for Blinking Magic, 21.6% for Angel Dust XL from Brothers, 17.5% for Funky. And again, because Funky is still not that available and these rockets are quite new, we might see them do better in the low noise category in future years potentially. And then Colour Crowns bringing up the rear there with 12.4% share of the votes. Let's look at some previous winners. So 2025 Anti-Venom, 2024 Pyromantic, which was a lovely low noise fan cake with a very high price tag. I think it was about £90. It was like a dump cake. It lasted 5 seconds. Lovely, lovely effects, but probably priced out of the average consumer's kind of budget there. 2023 was Prestigious's Crazy Crossets Compound. Prestigious do both a cake called Crazy Crossets and a compound called Crazy Crossets. Yes, it's confusing. Would it have been better if they had two different names? Probably. But their compound, Crazy Crossets, won in 2023. I find that it's a lovely, lovely compound. The colours in it are really, really vivid. Lovely compound, that. 2023 was Zeus's Stealth Compound. Stealth Firework, rather. And in 2021, Celtic's Chemical Romance. So quite a good range of those. It's not like it's the same one that wins each year. And this is why this is one of my favourite categories. I have three favourite categories in the awards. This is one of my favourite categories, best low noise, because it's a wide open to anything that's low noise. So I always like to see what's nominated and shortlisted there. Let's have a look at some of the previous runners-up. Well, previous runners-up, yeah, there you go. Celtic, Blinking Magic in 2025, Colourful Crossette in 2024, and Blinking Magic in 2023. It's interesting that Blinking Magic always wins or comes runners-up and not Blinking Surprise, because they're very similar cakes. I think, personally, I prefer Blinking Surprise, but they're both good. But it's interesting how Blinking Magic is the one that always gets runner-up or wins. So, there we go. Let's have a look at the next category. Oh, Josh01 says, hi there, hope you're well. Yes, I am, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. So, next category, best dump cake or mine. So, this is quite a complex one. Any F2 or F3 instant lift dump cake, instant mine cake, or single shot true mine. All items in this category should fire their entire load within 5 seconds or less, not including the aerial effect. So, if it has a big hang time, that can last longer than 5 seconds, but everything should be ejected from the firework in under 5 seconds for it to fit into this best dump cake or mine category. Let's have a look at the contenders this year. Celtic were there with 3, Vivid were there with 2, and Zeus. So Celtic's Brexit, which is a really, really popular, it's probably their most popular dump cake. It's one I've used before, I really like it. The name's clever as well, it always gets attention because of its name. So it's a fanned effect, instant lift, lots of noise, lots of brocades. Dahlia Dump is another, I quite like that one. That's not fanned, it's a 19-shot single one, but some lovely reds with some cyan colours in there, again instant. Vivid Screaming Demons, one of my favourite ones. I do actually have it here, Screaming Demons. I've liked this ever since it came out. This is lovely. This has got some lovely howlers that burst to red falling leaves. Really lovely effect. And only category F2 as well, which is really nice. A standing ovation from Vivid. lots of noise in that one. The Dark Demolisher from Celtic, lots of noise in that one. I used that just the other week in my gender reveal display in my back garden in the daytime. So if you didn't see that, go check out the video and the behind the scenes video on that, and you'll see Dark Demolisher in there. And Zeus's Mayhem Mine. And let's have a look at the breakdown of the votes. So 32.7% share of the votes goes to Brexit from Celtic. 26.9% goes to Screaming Demons from Vivid. 16.3% to Mayhem, the Mayhem Mine from Zeus. 12.5% to the Dark Demolisher from Celtic. So there we go on that. So let's have a look at some of the previous year's winners. And it's been flip-flopping around ever since the awards started, pretty much, with, well, actually not since the awards started, because this was a brand new category for 2022. The awards have been going since 2021, so 5 years. But the best dump cake or mine was not actually in the original awards. It was introduced as a category the year after. So that's why you can't see a winner there for 2021, because it wasn't a thing back then. But in 2022 and 2024, Dark Demolisher won, and then 2023 and 2025, Brexit. So it flip-flops around between Celtic's, Brexit and Dark Demolisher. I hope we see Screaming Demons in there one year, but we'll see. They're all good cakes. I've fired them all. They're all good. Let's move on then to look at the runners-up. There you go. Screaming Demons has been runners-up for 2025, 2024 and 2023. So it's up there. Just doesn't quite pip the Celtic ones. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This is the Innovation Award. This is another one of my favourite awards. I always look forward to the contenders in this and the winners. Here's the criteria for anything that classes for the Innovation Award. It's any category F2 or F3 retail firework which is novel, unique or has innovative features such as a new effect that's not seen before in consumer fireworks, a novel twist on an old design, or a feature which is innovative in the way the product is intended to be used. And here are the contenders this year. Vulcan's Sound of Silence pack, we mentioned that a little bit briefly earlier. It's a pack of cakes that are all low noise effects, but it's all 30mm tubes, so really big bursts, lovely low noise. Celtic's Monster Fountain, Golden Geyser. That's been nominated obviously because of its sheer size. It reaches 10 metres high, which is the first time a consumer fountain has reached that height. So that's why this has been included. Something else I like about the Innovation Award is you don't see the same products nominated year and year. It's new products each year, which I really like. Vivid's Cataclysm. So yeah, why was that included? Well, Cataclysm, if you're not familiar with it, go search my channel for Cataclysm. You'll see I was the first in the UK to film and fire that, and it didn't quite fire as intended. It was meant to be like a semi-dump cake and only last, I think, 10, 15 seconds, maybe even 20 seconds. The one I fired was quite slow and it lasted a minute. So Vivid actually very cleverly, to their credit, came up with a great marketing strategy because it had a reserve fuse and a main fuse. And then it's like, well, if you light both fuses, then it's going to last half the time and you get a much more impressive effect. So you can either have it lasting a minute or you can have it lasting 30 seconds. So they've dual fused it, even though one is technically the reserve fuse, but it works because it's just a single effect cake. So even if you light the reserve fuse or the first fuse, it's the same effect. You're not just going to get a flurry of shots if you light the reserve fuse. So innovative, yeah, and quite clever the way that's come about because it wasn't designed to be dual fused like that. It was designed to only last 30 seconds and it lasted a minute, but they've worked around that with some clever marketing. So hats off to them for that, and that's why that's been included in the innovation category. Prestigious is Ebb and Flow. I have one of those here. Lovely, lovely little cake with moving star effects. So what are moving stars? They're when a star starts in one direction, then will change direction mid-flight. These produce some really lovely silver thick comets that shoot up and then change direction. Lovely, lovely cake that from Prestigious. So that was one of the contenders this year, along with Rapid Rain Shower from Celtic, which is another fan cake, a bit like that Pyromantic cake. Lovely big effects there. Brad says, crosettes are my favourite type of firework. They're really bright and make a cool noise when they break. And yes, the quality of crosset effects has really come on in recent years. It used to be crosettes. I mean, Celtic have had a crosset cake for years, and it used to be red and green crosettes. Red and green, that's all you used to get. Yorgi then brought out a cross-set cake a number of years back, and that had a bit more colour in. Now there's some really nice colour cross-sets you can get. That one from Prestigious, the Compound or the Barrage, both of those, the colours in there are just so vivid and bright. Lovely. So yeah, I love a good cross-set cake. Great with kids as well. Kids love, if you're doing a low noise display, get some cross-sets in there. The audience are going to love them. So there's the contenders. Let's have a look at the breakdown for the votes in the Innovation Award this year. Again, a clear winner with 35% share of the votes was the Sound of Silence pack from Vulcan. Second place was Cataclysm from Vivid. Third place was the Monster Fountain or Golden Geyser or CF0129, however you call it, from Celtic. And then Ebb and Flow from Prestigious. And last but not least, Rapid Rain Shower from Celtic. Let's have a look at some previous year's winners. So Vivid have done really well in the Innovation Award in recent years. So last year, Celtic Pyromantic, but in 2021, 2 and 3, Vivid won with 3 different products. In 2021, it was Screaming Demons, this one here. In 2022, it was Marvel. And in 2023 was their amazing, I really love their Pro Slices. They have brought some new slices in this year as well, which are even bigger. Whether you'll be able to get your hands on them remains to be seen. But Vivid's Pro Slices, F2 Pro Slices, won the Innovation Award in 2023. Let's look at some runners-up. So last year, Funk and Vile Scala from Funky, and there we go, we were talking about cross-sets a minute ago. Prestigious's Crazy Cross-Sets Compound in 2023. Why that one? Well, because that was the first time there'd been a compound of cross-sets. Yeah, you get cross-sets cakes, but this was the first time it was a pure cross-set compound, and it was done very nicely as well. So let's move on then. We're getting through these now to the best brand. This is the final award. This is another one I always look forward to every year. The criteria for the winners in this, or the nominations in this, are any firework brand currently producing or importing category F2 or F3 fireworks for the UK retail market. And what was interesting about this one is this was actually open. You could vote for any brand that fitted in this category. All the other ones were shortlisted. This one on the voting form, if you voted, you will have seen there were some brands listed there, but there was also a space for you to put your own nomination in there. So this was quite literally wide open to any retail brand in the UK. Let's see how the vote split worked. There was a clear winner here with 35.6% share of the votes. Celtic Fireworks came first. They always do very well because I think the consistency, their products are really consistent. The quality is there. They have such a big range that covers barrages, fountains, rockets, candles, you name it. There's a consumer product from from Celtic for that. And that's what I think, if you want to win Best Brand, you need to have a good range of fireworks. Some of these other brands are amazing, but their ranges are quite limited at the moment. We might see their ranges expand in years to come, and in which case maybe they will win Best Brand in the future. But Celtic, a strong winner here in 2023. In second place, interestingly, and I was a little surprised at this, Funky Fireworks came runners-up. Why am I surprised by that? Because again, they're still relatively new, they're still not that accessible, and there's not been a massive range of products until very recently. Initially it was rockets and cakes. More recently they have brought in some fountains. There's still no like selection box. There's still no multi-shot candles, I think, from Funky. Someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware of any multi-shot Roman candles from Funky, and no selection boxes. So they did very well to get 23.1% share of the votes with quite a limited range and quite limited availability. Vivid, on the other hand, third. Yeah, they've got quite a big range of products these days now. So they had 19.2% share of the votes. Stephen says Celtic can't be beaten, but I think Funky may catch up. Yeah, it'd be interesting to say. I was surprised they came second, given they're not as widely available as, say, Vivid that came third, and also they don't quite have as big a range as Vivid products. You know, Vivid have wheels, multi-shot candles, slices, single shots, controversially, cakes, compounds. Funky don't quite have that range yet. If they expand their range and they become more available, but, you know, they could become Best Brand very soon. Let's see who came third. Zeus came third interestingly, a brand that's been around for a while, for many years, so they're very well established. And then the other brands you can see all kind of fought it out. So, but a clear winner there for best brand. Let's have a look at previous year's winners. And there we go. We can see Celtic now have won it 3 years on the run, Vivid in 2022 and Zeus in 2021. So again, Celtic have really upped their game in recent years because Celtic have been around a long time. So why didn't Celtic win, for example, in 2021? Why did Zeus win? Well, Celtic in recent years, like in the last 3 years, have really upped their game because they've had to, because other brands like Vivid and things like that and Funky have come along, really kind of upped the quality of what's available. And so Celtic have had to respond, and they have. And that's why we're now seeing them winning in the past 3 years in best brand. Let's have a look at some of the runners-up. 2025 Funky, 2024 Vivid, and interestingly 2023 Prestigious. Again, Prestigious do some amazing products, but the range isn't there. So I would be surprised if Prestigious won best brand at the moment because they don't have that range of different types of products. They've got some great compounds, they've got some great cakes, but there's no candles, there's no fountains, there are some rockets starting to come on. So, you know, but they could be a future winner, potentially. But there's lots of brands there. There's lots of other brands we've not even talked about that have potential to be best brand in the future. I want to put Fireworks out there. Fireworks have been quite a popular brand, but again, they're relatively new. So that's a brand that we can look out for. Rikeo, one of the offshoots of Vivid. They're doing really well. They're really strong. Could we see them in the future? Best brand nomination, potentially, we'll see. Stephen says, I think Funky's Sulphur Crown may be a contender this year. Maybe. We shall see. So those are the UK Firework Awards 2025. This is 2023. So I've been doing this for so long. Now in its 5th year. What's going to happen next year? Who's going to be included? I'm really curious. Let me know in the chat what's been missed out this year. What do you think? What are some of the new products this year that you think are going to be strong contenders next year? I've already said the new fountain from Celtic, the smaller golden shower fountain. I think that's going to be a contender, a very strong contender next year. The Vivid single shots and slices, will they be a contender next year? They might win the Innovation Award, maybe, or get nominated. I don't know. We'll see. As I say, I don't have any input into who's nominated or who's shortlisted or who wins. I just announced the awards. I'm very, very pleased to be hosting these awards again this year. I've been hosting them pretty much ever since they launched, and I'm very excited to do that again this year. But I have no control. These are not my favourite fireworks. These are your favourite fireworks. You've nominated these. You've shortlisted these. You voted for these. I just present the results. So yeah, so that's this year's awards. Very exciting. Be really exciting to see what happens next year. But we've been going now nearly an hour and a half on this stream, so we will wrap it up in a few more minutes. I just want to hear what your thoughts are on some potential fireworks that may win next year. Stephen says, Scatterbrain and Laughing Gas looked interesting. Yes, Laughing Gas is a really lovely fanned firework from Vivid. It does look nice, that one. I'm hoping to get my hands on that. But yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. Kamara Brocades, Chris says, thanks Mark, thanks Chris, thanks for being here. For those of you who don't know, Chris actually works for the UK Firework Alliance. So it's nice to have him here in the chat. He oversees the awards and passes me all the data for me to then present the awards. So thank you very much for that, Chris. Nice to work with you again this year. Hopefully we'll do the same again next year. Pyro Predator by Pyroworks will be the best selection box next year. Possible. It may get a nomination. Will it be the best selection box? It depends on its price tag. And that's something with the big Hallmark one that I did that I was like, RRP was like £900. You can get it for about £275 at the moment. Will big selection boxes like that, will they win the best selection box? I don't know, because I think the price of those and the size of those potentially puts those out of reach of people that want to just do, you know, on bonfire night, a little selection box for their family in their back garden. They want something a little bit smaller potentially. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing here. Will we ever see a massive giant selection box being nominated? Sure. Will we see one win? I don't know. Remains to be seen, but that's up to you because I don't vote for them. You guys do. What about Gemstone? They're really good too, says Jay. Yeah, Gemstone is certainly a brand that's been around for a while. They do a range of products. Could we see them as best brand? maybe, or some of their individual products. Who knows? Hallmark is another one. I've been doing quite a bit of their, firing quite a lot of their products recently and reviewing those. If you want to see some reviews of those, they're on my channel. Hallmark is another brand we can talk about. They've got a lot of products. Could they be a future contender for best brand? Maybe. Blues and Twos will be a contender for, yes, that's another one. Celtic's new candles, Blues and Twos, Limoncello, and there's another one I think called Weeping Willow. They're 380 shot, whereas these ones are like 56 shot. The new ones are like 380 shot. They're big, but they're actually similar size in terms of height to these. I fired Blues and Twos. Recently, you'll see a review and unboxing and a firing and some landing footage and review of that on my channel. Blues and Twos, I think, is a strong contender. I'm looking forward to Limoncello and indeed Weeping Willow. I think that we're going to see the Vivid candles. Would we see them in the Innovation Award potentially? Because they're such big multi-shot candles. I don't know. Maybe. Let's have a look. I think maybe not Monster Fountain, the Golden Shower Fountain, maybe that will be in the Innovation Award as well as Best Fountain. I don't know. I think that's my tip for something that's going to do quite well next year. But certainly the new candles from Celtic, I was very excited about. Will we see the Vivid single shots and the slices and things? I'd love to see those in there. I don't know because I don't know how available they're going to be. We shall see. But if you want to see what they look like, there's reviews of those on my channel. Hallmark's Vice City looks a good compound varied effects. I haven't seen it, Stephen, so I'll take your word for that. But I have been firing quite a bit of Hallmark stuff recently, so maybe I'll get an opportunity to fire that, and we'll see. But there we go. Yeah, next year, same time, same place. Join me. I hope you will. Thanks for joining me for this stream. If you've just popped in for a little bit of it, or if you've watched for the whole hour and a half, and if you watched the awards before, if you want to watch the official awards ceremony properly, there'll be a link to that in the description of this video. I may even see if I can throw a link into the corner of the screen on the replay as well. So thank you everybody for joining me. If you're thinking, who am I? If you're tuning in late, my name's Mark. I do fireworks professionally. I do them as a hobby as well. And I'm very fortunate to be able to host the UK Firework Awards in association with the UK Firework Alliance and the UK Firework Review community every year. But if you like fireworks and you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, why not check out my channel, consider subscribing, like this video, tell all your friends. My channel is always family friendly. We do live streams, we do brand new fireworks, exclusive first look fireworks you won't have seen anywhere else. You get to see them first on my channel. Honest, unbiased reviews. I'm not sponsored to do the reviews. I'm not incentivized to do the reviews. So all my reviews are all unbiased and genuinely what I think of the products. And we do some live streams. We kind of get it coming up to that time of year now, bonfire night, a month today. So there will be some more live streams happening in the coming weeks right here from my garage where I'll be setting up some of my firework displays and I'll talk to you guys and we'll talk about best tips and tricks for setting up displays, how to do them safely. We always have a lot of fun on those streams. We never know which direction they're going to go. They last for hours. I usually lose my voice, but they're lots of fun. And I know you guys really love them because so many of you have been saying, oh, are you going to be doing that again this year? We're going to do, yes, more live streams from my garage coming up within the next month. So do subscribe, because I don't know when they're going to be. Subscribe and enable all notifications and you'll be notified whenever I go live or upload a video. Brad says thank you, Jay says thank you, Stephen says thanks Mark, see you on Bonfire Night. Yes, will I be live streaming on Bonfire Night? All being well, yes, I'll be live streaming on Bonfire Night as well from my back garden. They're always a lot of fun to do as well, so I hope you'll join me for those. There may even be a jacket potato. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch one of my previous streams and it'll all become clear. So thanks everybody. It's now 10 o'clock. We've been going an hour and a half, so we are going to end it now. But thanks for your company this evening. It's been great to have you all here, to hear your thoughts in the chat as well on the winners and contenders and potentials for next year as well. So there we go. Everyone's saying see you on Bonfire Night. See you on Bonfire Night. Yes, you'll see me before Bonfire Night because, as I say, I will be live streaming from my garage within the next few weeks. So there we go. Until then, I'm going to leave you. And hope you're all keeping well. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, what's left of it, and see you all again very soon. Bye for now.